Qhipa Pacha, Peruvian Futurism, it's a bilingual anthology that includes 14 short fiction written by Peruvian and Peruvian-based authors, which tells us visions of the future from the point of view of Peruvians. All the authors pose Peruvian characters with which the Peruvian reader, the South American, the Latin American reader can identify themselves. For instance, one of the most iconic stories of Peruvian science fiction is called The First Peruvian in Space, written by Daniel Salvo. And in this story, the main character is the first Peruvian astronaut that is working in a space station around the planet Earth. And his name is Anatolio Pomahuanca and has an indigenous identity. And Anatolio Pomahuanca has a very strong encounter argument with his boss in the space station. And it's very interesting because there is a tension, seems to be a racial tension, in which he's talking to his boss, who is the white, and then he's talking about himself as representative of his people that have been conquered by the whites. Therefore, any Peruvian Latin American reader will immediately connect this argument between these two characters with the colonial history of Peru and Latin America. But at the end of the story, there is a twist, a very clever twist, and you'll realize that they are not talking about Indians and Spaniards in the 16th century and that's traumatic history that is the colonization of Peru and Latin America. So these are other visions of the future from the point of view of what we call in the United States historical minorities, and not only to read about other people of the world, specifically from the global north, that seem to be dictating how the visions of the future should be in literature. All the authors whose works are included in this anthology, they are part of a group of authors that call themselves the Qhipa Pacha Collective. Qhipa Pacha is an Aymara term that designates kind of the future, but it's very interesting in the Aymara language, as well as in the Andean world, the future is not in front of you, it's behind you, because you cannot see it yet. Literary history in Peru has been dominated by the paradigm of realism and indigenism, corresponding, of course, to social, historical, political problems and concerns of the country. And for a long, long time, anything that falls within the realm of speculative fiction, being terror, horror, literatura fantástica, and science fiction, is thought to be just for entertainment and not critical enough of society. And this book contributes to the discussion on the possibility of a Peruvian science fiction, which is not starting, but it has not received enough attention from the critics. This is the first bilingual anthology. It has been published in Spanish and in English. All the texts have been translated by students from Michigan State University under my direction, and the work of translation took 2 years, because we want that the anthology does not only stay in the Spanish-speaking world readership, but also that it goes beyond the language barrier. With the sponsorship of CLACS, we have produced a series of interviews, 5 one-hour interviews, conversations with all the writers of Qhipa Pacha. They are so substantial, and they all have made themselves available for the students to interview them, to write to them about them, and they are also kind and helpful.